Hi everybody, good morning. Welcome to my little bloggy thing this morning. I want to talk about foils, streaking, colour placement. Now, when we are doing a consultation with a client, there are a lot of factors that we need to consider. The main one is, what technique are we going to use? So technique is one of the things that is really quite important when we're looking at colouring, because somebody might walk in for a full head of foils, and yes, so sure, we can do that, book them in, yada yada yada, get started. Now there are a lot of times where I see on a lot of posts and things, I've done back-to-back foils, done this, done that, and there are places for these techniques. The client walks in and they're not going to walk in and say to you, oh, I want a full head of back-to-back foils. So it's up to us to figure out what's the best technique to use for that particular result. And you may or may not agree with me when I say this, but there are times where I've seen people that have done a full head of back-to-back foils and the result is actually very similar to whether or not you would have or should have full bleached the scalp. And I know that there is a lot of factors when it comes to doing back-to-back foiling. They give you a lot of control on your colour, so there's nothing wrong with them, and it's great. I love doing back-to-back foiling if you're doing, say, 3 or 4 different shades of colour. So if you're doing a couple of different blondes and throwing in a caramel or something like that, that looks great. But I do find that sometimes I think a lot of the time we aren't thinking what's best for the client. Because a client, yes, we make them aware of how long it's going to take. So full head of back-to-back foils and a colour and a toner and whatever, you're looking at anywhere from, I'm being generous when I say 3 hours to, 6 to 8 hours of work. One of our biggest concerns is whether or not the clients are going to come back to you for that sort of service again for returning. So just even normal foiling. I don't particularly like normal foiling for a natural look, because I think, you've got your balayage techniques, you've got streaking caps, which are high debate at the moment. And there are a lot of different techniques to look at when you're wanting to make that client get the best result that they want. So everything has its place. One of my favorites is, let's bring back the streaking cap, okay? I do love the cap. I find that the cap is actually quite a nice way of doing things. And when I teach how to do these, and when I do them myself, I do a lot of prep before we do it, like everything with color and even upstyling. You do a lot of preparation before you do something. With the cap, it's the same thing. You do have to prep the hair before you do use a streaking cap, because of the fact you don't want to just brush the hair out, have like all that hair sort of everywhere and just go for it and pull out the holes with the crochet hook. So if I do mine and I prep it and I actually make sure that the hair is really smooth first. So whether you use a sheen spray, oil, straighten it in, then pop the cap on, make sure that the cap isn't bubbly, so it's got to be nice and smooth so you get a nice result. If it's too big and the holes stretch, you can have problems with like bleeding. So it's like everything, you've got to make sure that your prep is right. And then you go in and you put your hook in, straight in, straight out, straight in, straight out, and make sure that you do it right. Foiling, I like foiling for popping of colour and changing your colour techniques to putting, say, a couple of different colours of blonde in the hair rather than just the, just the streaks. But then there's also colour placement, which I love doing, and that's my, you've all seen me do my cones, which are the shaders, cones of awesomeness, with their little counterparts, the little springy piece. For more information on that, you can go to colourplacementsystem.com.au, and that will actually give you some guide as to what it is, and you can contact Marie regarding colour placement system. I love using those shaders because they give you can do that with full colour and a bit of a pop of colour. You don't have to have and you don't spend a lot of time putting a whole heap of foils in between colours and it just being just foils. It actually gives a really good dimensional look with your colour. So there are a couple of things for you to think about. My biggest thing is to make sure that when you are looking at doing any type of colour with a client, that you actually make sure that you know where you're going to go before you start, so that you've got the right technique for the right results. Okay, have a really great day, guys. Scissor salute, and I'll speak to you soon. Thanks. Bye.